Government watchdog group Open the Books reviewed all the federal agencies and mapped their increased spending over 24 years, finding some agencies grew by as much as 500%. Joining us now to discuss is Rachel Bryan, Deputy Public Policy Editor from OpenTheBooks.com. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
No problem. We talked about some of this last month about this project to untangle kind of the web of federal agencies and a public database. What are some of the worst offenders for some of this big spending that you're finding?
The EPA, they've been grabbing headlines ever since their new administrator, Zeldin's team found $20 billion that the Biden administration put in Citibank. So this was going to be cash for their green energy and environmental justice agenda. This was going to be given out to outside organizations. So Zeldin is working through the courts to claw back that money. So the headcount at the EPA actually shrank 13% from 2000 to 2024, in part due to efforts from the first Trump administration. But here's where it gets crazy. The spending soared during that time period from over $7 billion in 2000 to over $41 billion by 2024. It's 570% higher. Almost all of this happened since 2020 during the Biden era, about 471% increase in spending then. So, you know, the EPA used to be a regulatory authority, but now it has a huge amount of subsidies that it gives to state and local governments. It created the EPA Office of Environmental Justice that has spent billions of dollars. So no wonder the country is $36 trillion in debt.
Now, you're also keeping a close eye on spending by the Departments of Energy and Agriculture as well. Each grew between, 300 and 400%. What did you find there?
Yeah, I mean, again, this spending increase just out of control. So the Department of Energy, again, their staff only grew 6.7% during that 24-year time period from 2000 to 2024. 6.7% increase in staff, but spending grew 390%. Again, the steepest spike came during the most recent 4 years during the Biden administration. One recent lightning rod issue at that agency, Department of Energy, was it adopted new efficiency standards for household appliances. So the department said that these efficiency rules for things like air conditioners, washers, and dryers would help consumers save money on energy bills. But really, it's just telling consumers what they can and cannot buy. So the Trump administration has stopped those rules. The new energy secretary said that appliance purchases should be made by the people, not the government. They should be able to choose what they want to buy. So the Department of Agriculture, that's a perfect example of the pattern we've seen at some of these agencies where the employee count actually shrank 14% at agriculture, but annual spending, again, skyrocketed 339%. This is in large part due to the USDA, farming out its spending to non-governmental entities in the form of contracts and grants.
Now, you're talking a lot about some of the big numbers, but what are some of the smaller numbers you're seeing?
Yeah, we found this in agencies of all sizes. It's not just the big ones. So the National Foundation for the Arts and Humanities, that's a small head count there in the 400s versus can be up to tens of thousands at some of these other agencies. So small agencies, but outlays have soared again, especially during the Biden administration. In 2000, the spending was $406 million. By 2024, it was $998 million, more than double. So previously at Open Books, we reported on some crazy podcasts that were being funded by these endowments. Just a couple examples. One podcast from the Endowment for the Humanities, $227,000, podcast about linguistics, an episode called The Little Pronoun That Could, about a new gender-neutral pronoun being introduced in Swedish. Another podcast, $200,000 from the Endowment for the Humanities. There was an episode about how Satanists can play an important role in American religious and political life. The big takeaway from this project that we did at Open the Books of mapping the federal agencies is that agency after agency, spending has outpaced staff growth, often many times over. So for a complete list and details of each agency, you can visit openthebooks.com, click on federal agencies, and you'll have enough reading for weeks.
All right. Thanks so much. Deputy Public Policy Editor for openthebooks.com, Rachel Bryan. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.